Hi. We've discussed cost plus pricing and we've discussed value-based pricing, and now I want us to consider the competitive side of pricing, because it's unusual for you to be pricing alone. It's normal that the customer would be aware of what you're charging, and your competitors are charging, and it's easy to compare one with the other. So the common mistake that many people make when it comes to competitive pricing is they assume that they have to aim to be cheaper than their competitors in order to win the business. Now, in some cases that's absolutely right, but in other cases it's entirely wrong. It all depends on how you want to position yourself, your product, your service in the market, and what you want the price to communicate to the customer. So the point is that not to be deliberately cheaper, but to use the price to signal to the customer how you're positioned and therefore quality of your product or service. But you've got to be sure to explain to the customer why you're priced higher or why you're priced lower, because if you don't, it just looks like you're too cheap or too expensive. So here's how it works. You research what other people are doing for similar products and services, and then you decide whether you want to price lower to attract the more budget conscious, match the market, or go higher to signal premium value. And the point is that you're signaling to the customer about the quality of the product or the service to the price. Now, if you do this, it's really important that you can explain or demonstrate to the customer why your price is at that level. If you're cheaper, then you've got to explain why. If you're more expensive, then again, you've got to explain why. And the explanation has got to be more than just we're better. It's got to make sense. I'll give you an example. There are well-known strategy consulting firms which charge astronomical consulting rates, and many large corporations are perfectly happy to pay them. And there are a number of very similar, much smaller firms set up by former employers. They charge much lower fees for the same service delivered by former employees of the large firms. But these lower cost firms, they explain to the customer why they're cheaper. They have lower overheads, they don't have expensive partners, less cost, and they pass on this saving to the client. So their offer is communicated as same quality, lower cost is fully justified, we're passing the savings on to you. So the important point here is that your price reflects your positioning, and you can communicate this very clearly to the customer. Let's think about an example that shows both the strength and also I think the risk of this type of strategy. So this example is a UK-based online stationery company, and it entered what I'm sure you'll know is a tremendously crowded, very competitive marketplace dominated by huge companies: Amazon, Viking, Office Depot, Smiths, and so on. And so in order to compete, they felt they had to be cheaper, and so they priced the average planner, average notebook at £13 instead of their competitors' 15. Well, they won business because they're cheap, but their margins were tiny, and their customer loyalty was low, because when you win business based on price, there is almost no customer loyalty. Every time a competitor drops its price, your customer goes away. So they had to continue to drop their prices. Well, clearly that model doesn't work. And so then they introduced some differentiation, customized options, eco-friendly packaging, a sustainability program, a referral program, and they increased the price now to £17 above the competition, but positioning themselves as premium, sustainable. Sales held steady, but margins improved significantly. And they're now positioning themselves as not just another cheap supplier, but as a better, more sustainable, more eco-friendly option, which would appeal to certain types of customers. Not all customers, of course, but certain types of customers. So, with that, I'm going to leave you to think about your competitive pricing. And when we can come back again, we'll think about less the logic of pricing, and we're going to think about a little bit more now about the psychological aspect of pricing. I'll see you then.